You know that feeling when you stumble on something online, maybe a weird forum thread or a website with these cryptic clues, and it feels like it's leading somewhere big, but then it just stops. Like you missed the punchline. We've all been there, right? That feeling of an unfinished story hanging in the air. Well, that's sort of the territory we're digging into today.
Yeah, and what's really interesting is that these aren't just, random internet glitches or dead links.
Yeah.
Often they're deliberately created experiences,
Yeah.
games, really,
Yeah.
designed to pull you into a story that then, well, for reasons we're going to explore, just vanishes.
Exactly. So, we're doing a deep dive into abandoned alternate reality games, ARGs. Think of them as these interactive stories that blend the online world with maybe even real world stuff. You, the player, or the listener in this case, you become part of the investigation, piecing together clues. And the really cool, sometimes unsettling part is how they blur the line between what's real and what's part of the game.
hmm And it's that blurring, that specific quality that makes it so fascinating when they suddenly stop. It's not like a movie ending or finishing a book. These ARGs, they often just cease, and they leave behind this kind of digital residue of questions and theories and just a sense of, wait, what was that?
Right. So, our mission today is to unpack a few of the most talked about abandoned ARGs. We've gathered what info we could find to try and understand what these things were really like, and crucially, explore why they might have ended so abruptly.
We're essentially looking at digital artifacts, aren't we? Stories that gripped people and now just sort of float around online as unresolved mysteries.
Okay, let's kick things off with one that's particularly eerie. Sad Satan.
hmm
Even the name gives you a bit of a shiver, doesn't it?
It does. Sad Satan. It showed up around 2015, mainly through this YouTube channel, Obscure Horror Corner.
Mm.
The story behind it was, well, disturbing. It was supposedly a game found on the deep web, the part of the internet not indexed by Google and Bing, sometimes linked with less savory stuff.
Mm.
And this game was said to have really cryptic messages, distorted visuals, very unsettling audio. Its supposed origin definitely fueled the mystique.
Right, and here's where it gets really weird. Loads of people were talking about it, searching for it, but no actual confirmed playable version of this game ever really seemed to surface widely. It was all just whispers online, maybe some bleary screenshots, secondhand accounts. It's kind of like an internet urban legend. Bigfoot, but digital.
Exactly. Which immediately makes you ask, was Sad Satan ever the real game you could play? Or was it maybe something else, like an elaborate hoax? Or some kind of, I don't know, disturbing digital art piece meant to get a reaction? It's fascinating how the lack of solid proof actually made it scarier for some people. It plays on that fear of the unknown, and the internet's perfect for that.
And then, just to add another layer, the YouTube channel that started it all, Obscure Horror Corner, it just vanished. No goodbye, no final clue, just gone.
Poof. So you're left with these fragments, these unsettling claims, and a vanished channel, like a digital ghost story. And the questions are still there. Was it a real, disturbing piece of software? A very clever hoax? Creepypasta brought to life? Or maybe even, malware dressed up as a game? Why do it?
Mm-hmm.
What was the point of making something so creepy and then just letting it fade?
And nobody knows for sure, even now. It just lingers online. Hey, let's shift gears, something quite different. Trailhead.
Yeah, Trailhead. A complete contrast to the darkness of Sad Satan. This ARG was found inside a Google internal training website.
Yeah.
So right away, the context is different, more structured, maybe corporate.
Exactly. And the clues reflected that. More like brain teasers, encrypted messages, riddles, and interestingly, real phone numbers participants could actually call.
Which, given it was Google, immediately sparked theories about its purpose.
Was it just like a really creative way to train employees? Or maybe something more intriguing, a recruitment tool? Some people even threw around ideas about intelligence agencies using it to spot talent.
That was a big theory, wasn't it? That it was a specific kind of job test, maybe for cybersecurity roles Google needed filled. Imagine that as your job application solving complex digital puzzles. Still, you wonder, couldn't Google just post a job ad? Seems elaborate.
Well, maybe the process was the test, how people approached it. But anyway, just like the others, Trailhead suddenly stopped, the clues dried up, links went dead, the server seemed to go offline. It just ended midstream. Which brings up a really interesting thought. Was Trailhead meant to be unfinished? Was the goal just to see how people tackled the puzzles rather than actually having them reach some final answer? It makes you think about the design.
It really does.
Yeah.
And it highlights how varied the motivations behind these things can be. Sad Satan felt like it was about creating unease. Trailhead, probably something more practical, even if we don't know exactly what.
Right. Let's move to maybe the most famous or infamous of these, Cicada 3301. This one's legendary.
Oh, absolutely. Cicada 3301. People call it the Illuminati of ARGs. That gives you a sense of the mystery around it. It first appeared back in 2012 on 4chan, actually, with this striking image and a message saying they were looking for highly intelligent individuals. Now, 4chan, for anyone unfamiliar, is this huge kind of chaotic online forum known for launching a lot of internet culture, memes, that sort of thing.
And that single post kicked off this massive global scavenger hunt. It wasn't just online either. We're talking QR codes stuck on actual street signs in different countries, clues hidden in obscure old books, incredibly complex ciphers.
Like really complex codes needing specialist knowledge.
Yeah, and coordinates pointing to real places, Poland, Japan, the US, others too. The scale of it was just mind-blowing.
It really was on another level. The complexity set Cicada apart. It demanded serious skills, cryptography, steganography, deep knowledge of literature, art, philosophy, and often people had to collaborate online just to crack parts of it. It really tapped into that desire to be part of something elite, a test of minds.
And then silence. After several rounds of these incredibly difficult puzzles, Cicada 3301 just went quiet. The messages stopped. The online activity just ended.
Which, of course, just fueled more speculation. That recruitment idea came back strong. Was it the NSA, MI6, some other shadowy group looking for the best code breakers and analysts in the world?
But then you get the slightly more chilling thought. If it was recruitment, what happened to the people who actually solved it? Did they just get an email saying, welcome aboard? Or did they disappear into some secret organization? It's properly mysterious.
So looking back at these three, Sad Satan, Trailhead, Cicada 3301, very different cases, but all abandoned. What are some general reasons why these complex, engaging things might just fizzle out?
Well, I mean, one obvious one has to be creator burnout, right? A lot of ARGs, especially the indie ones, are passion projects run by one person or maybe a tiny team. The amount of work involved in creating and managing these things, often in real time, must be absolutely immense. Real life gets in the way, money runs out, maybe they just lose steam. Running one must be a huge commitment.
That's definitely a big factor. But there's also the idea we touched on. Maybe the lack of an ending is part of the point for some. Like, would we still be talking about Sad Satan if it ended with a clear message saying, haha, gotcha, it was just a hoax? Probably not as much.
That's a really good point. An unresolved mystery sticks in your head, doesn't it? Your brain wants to fill in the gaps. So in a weird way, the abandonment becomes part of the story itself. It's a reminder that, not everything online has a neat answer, even though we sometimes feel like it should.
Precisely. And building on that, maybe some ARGs were never actually designed to have a definite ending. Maybe the goal was always the experience, the journey, the collaboration, the atmosphere, the puzzle solving, not necessarily getting to a final you win screen.
Yeah, like the silence itself is the final message, leaving it all hanging there for people to wonder about forever.
Exactly. Some creators might deliberately craft it to fade away,
Yeah.
leaving interpretation open, letting the mystery linger.
So these abandoned ARGs, what's their legacy? What do they leave behind online?
Well, they become these sort of internet ghosts, as you called them earlier, which I think is a great way to put it. They live on forum threads, YouTube deep dives, wikis. People are still analyzing the clues, debating the theories. They really represent this unique mix of digital art, interactive mystery, and intellectual puzzle.
Almost like digital folklore. Stories passed down, constantly re-examined, even though the original authors are long gone.
And what keeps them compelling, I think, is that potential for them to just come back. Unlike a finished book, these are digital. A dormant website could suddenly update. A hidden clue could be reactivated. A new message could appear years later. That possibility always exists.
It's like they're just sleeping, right? Waiting for someone to find that one last piece and maybe wake the whole thing up again.
Indeed. The internet never truly forgets, does it? And these games are reminders of all the unsolved puzzles still lurking out there in the digital world.
Well, that pretty much wraps up our deep dive into the strange world of abandoned alternate reality games. It's definitely a fascinating, kind of peculiar corner of the internet full of these lingering questions.
Yeah, absolutely. And if this dive into online mysteries sparked your interest, definitely share it around. Maybe you know someone else who loves these kinds of digital enigmas.
And hey, if you, listening right now, have ever bumped into an ARG, abandoned or not, or any other really weird online mystery, we'd genuinely love to hear about it. Let us know.
Yeah, absolutely. Ultimately, I think these abandoned games remind us that not every story gets a neat ending. And sometimes the most memorable ones are those that leave us asking more questions than we started with.
So keep exploring, keep questioning, and who knows what forgotten digital mysteries you might uncover.